All right, well, I'm going to demonstrate a method that I've used before, and it is a different method than I used when I had reviewed the Von Tempsky Bowie. But I find that the drawing the blade, or drawing the work, instead of putting the blade in motion with a large knife like this, is far easier. So here's where I'm going to take advantage of that natural split. And as I said before, we don't damage the tree utilizing this method. So we're into the wood there. This wood is marginal, I would say, for getting some good feather sticks. But we'll see what we can get away with. Hopefully we can get some feather sticks out of this. And, you know, if you can't make, you know, the 3 good feather sticks, well, make 6 okay feather sticks. All right, so I'm just going to do this here. As I said, drawing the knife, drawing the wood, a lot easier. And this guard here tends to lock itself nicely onto the tree here. That nice sharp convex grind. Now, I have maintained this convex grind out in the field with just a simple sharpening stone, working it in a circular fashion, much like you would for an axe. And it is phenomenal. Excellent tool. In this here, we get some real precise cuts. Now, if I wanted to do stop cuts, cut into my stop cut, we can utilize the same method and draw towards the stop cut. Perhaps you're making some notches or things like that. You can put your stop cut in and then draw to the stop cut. That's another nice way. The only way that this doesn't work is if your tree is too large or you don't have any trees at all. And if you don't have any trees at all, you're definitely not going to have a fire. So I think a lot of people get turned off with the large knife, believing that it's not functional, or it's not functional enough to be carried. Yet, if we believed that fully and completely, we would be ignoring historical facts. Many people say that the only thing that a Bowie knife was ever used for was fighting, and that is true. Bowie knives were a formidable weapon, and still are, for that matter. Any connection with a knife like this is possibly loss of limb, shattering bone, you name it. They were outlawed in many Western cities and towns, centuries back in the United States, for that very reason. There's no ballistics like there is with a gun. It doesn't jam, and you don't need any ammunition. And anything within the 21-foot rule, and I would say you would not want to face anybody with a knife of this size. Now, some people might also say, well, I would take the smaller knife. It's more capable. Well, I guess you just have to ask yourself, who would you rather fight? If it was a fight to the death in a cage, would you rather fight a guy with an 11-inch Bowie or a 4-inch stiletto? You probably would answer how I would, the 4-inch stiletto. I know I might be able to take a couple cuts from a stiletto, but I'm definitely not going to take much from this the wound channel would be extremely horrific, and any blow from any portion of this blade, even the back, would be devastating. Now, all things being equal, a trained person with a 4-inch blade or a trained person with an 11-inch blade, of course, that person's going to be far more lethal with the 11-inch blade. You know, these are all scenarios people run into in terms of combat with large knives and small knives and things like that. And, you know, a petite woman would be very, very well protected wielding a Bowie knife. Not many people are going to try to snatch that out of her hand. So if you're thinking in terms of protection and things like that, that's exactly what the von Tempsky Bowie was set out to do historically, you know, in the New Zealand Wars. So if you are looking for any added protection on top of capability in the woods, a Bowie knife is definitely one of the ways to go. So you can make as many of these as you want. Obviously, they're quick, they're easy, you don't fatigue, and it's very, very controlled. What I like about it as well is where I'm from, as you can see, there's a lot of snow, and we've had a mild winter, and normally we have at least 2 feet at this point underneath, you know, the soles of our feet. So having a dusting of about 6 inches like this is nothing, but being able to stand up to do your feathers or any other intricacies that you may find yourself having to do with a large knife, standing up greatly, you know, reduces the amount of moisture you're going to wick up from your clothing. If you have to squat down, your heels can get your butt wet. If you're going to kneel, your knees are going to get wet. And you may be in areas where you know, brushy areas or more densely wooded areas where you can't really, you know, get down and squat and do certain things. You want to do them right up off the bat. I do a lot of work in a swamp and things like that. So, you know, last thing I want to do is have to try to find a spot to kneel when I'm in knee-deep water, where something like this can really get some work done up against some standing trees. No matter how sparse they might be, I'll always, you know, remain dry. Once again, thanks for watching. We're going to have some more.